I have used 35 business principles to make over $350,000 in 30 days on Skool. And then I shared those same principles with my clients who in the next 90 days generated over $3 million. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through what those 35 principles are and how you can use them to scale your own Skool community. And the first is to stop overthinking. And I remember I used to have this mentor who would tell me this. He'd say, every second you spend overthinking, there's someone who is stupider than you going out there and making money and helping people. There's someone stupider than you going out there and crushing it. Because actions are the thing that will drive your business forward and help you get results. And when you're spending time thinking about what actions to take, you are not therefore spending time taking the actions. So the quicker you shorten down the timeline between thought and action, the quicker you can move forward and get results. And the second is to use what you have. Oftentimes when you're starting a new venture, or even if you're not starting a new venture, let's say you're starting a Skool community or you already have a Skool community for a few years, you try and start from scratch. You think, oh, I don't want my friends and family to hear about it. That's embarrassing. I don't want my work, my colleagues, my previous business partners. I don't want people from my previous venture to hear about this. It's embarrassing, I got to build it from scratch to make it legit. But that is completely backwards, because not only are you shooting yourself in the foot, you're shooting your potential clients, the people you can help, in the foot. And you're trying to start from scratch when you spent your whole life working, learning skills, building your network, meeting people, building trust and goodwill, and now you're saying, oh, I got to start from the beginning. So the first rule of business, we say, is to use what you got. And that is the quickest way to make progress. And we even had someone by the name of Jen who came in, thought she had to create a whole brand new YouTube channel, thought she had to create a whole new traffic source to bring in people. And after going through her business backbone, developing her offer, she found opportunities within her network and where she was already working that paid her over $270,000 in 12 weeks, which is insane. And the third is to follow one source. Online, there is a surplus of information. There's a surplus of noise. So many people are shouting that it can be very hard to piece together different pictures and puzzles. And everyone has a roadmap for you to follow, or things they think you should do. And the truth is, all of them can work. All of them can work for the right person. But when you try and consume from multiple different sources, you are taking pieces from different puzzles and trying to jam them together to create your one puzzle. And at the end, you get this garbled mess where you're trying to put a piece in and it's not clicking. And then because of that, you're overthinking more. And because of that, you're taking less action and you're forgetting to use what you got. And it just becomes harder. So if you want to make the most progress possible, go all in on one voice, one path, one roadmap. And that'll help you reach the destination with the greatest likelihood of success. And then it's do the unscalable first. A lot of people think about the future and they think, I don't want to do unscalable things because that's boring. I want a scalable business model that will pay me forever and I only have to work an hour a week and I'll just make $1 million a month. But especially at the beginning, you have to do the unscalable to build the scalable. In fact, we've noticed that you can make a lot of great money and help a lot of people with, say, 2 to 4 hours a day. But it takes front-loaded work to reach that point of time. It's like if you're building a house, you got to spend the time tearing the previous property down. If there's a property there, you got to dig out the foundation. You got to lay the concrete. You got to put the steel in. You got to build the house. Then you got to do the plumbing, the electricity, the heating. But once that is all done, all that work is done, then you can enjoy the house and you can live in it. So the same is true for business. You start by building the business by doing the unscalable first. And then as you build those systems, if you are following one source who actually knows what they're doing, you'll start to build those scalable systems that will begin to buy back your time. But you can't get there without doing the unscalable. Number 5 is to focus on inputs, not outputs. So this is very simple. You have control over certain things in your life, the actions you are taking. You can send 100 DMs. You can produce 3 YouTube videos. You can take 5 calls or whatever it may be. But if you're worried so much about the outputs of those actions, oh, I want to get 10,000 views, I want to get 1,000,000 views, I want to make $1,000,000, whatever it may be, you're focusing on the outputs of your actions, it suddenly becomes easier to get lost in the pursuit of those outputs. So when you focus on the inputs, the outputs organically follow. And when you increase the quality and volume of the inputs, you get better quality and higher volume outputs. So instead of saying, how can I want to get 10,000 views on this video, you think, how can I make 3 videos this week instead of 1? You increase the inputs. How can I make this video 10 times better this week instead of trying to make 10 more? You focus on the inputs, you make a better hook, a better headline, you make everything better about it, you do more of it, and then the outputs organically follow. Number 6 is to do one thing at a time. If you go look at your calendar, your schedule, and you look at what you're working on, chances are you're working on 1,000,000 different things. You're probably working on a website, a community, sales packages, your offer, your pitch, your content. You're probably working on 1,000,000 different things at a time. And because of that, your attention is spread thin. You only have so much attention. You only have so much focus in your life. And when you spread it thin, it becomes like a piece of bread that you're trying to take a little dollop of butter and just spread it across the whole piece of bread, and then you end up just destroying that piece of bread, trying to scrape a little bit of butter across of it. So when you do one thing at a time, you re-narrow down your focus and you do it to the highest quality possible. And I've learned this from working with Andrew and seeing the work that Skool does, because Skool, the team themselves, they only focus on implementing one change at a time. And I remember hearing Sam say that they did this because once they make one change, that might impact everything that comes after it. Because people might think they need 5 to 10 different things, and they have these 10 desires of things they want to do. But once you solve that first one, it might eliminate the need for the last 9. And if you spent your time working on all 10 of them, and then it took you doing the 9th thing to realize you didn't have to do all 10 of them, that would be a gigantic waste of time. So when you focus on one thing, you solve that one problem at a time, and then you can focus on the problem that happens after it. Number 7 is to simplify your life. And oftentimes you hear less is more, simplify your business. You want to have a simpler, cleaner, neater business, but we don't actually apply that to our life. And we don't realize that our businesses are based around us, and we are our business. And if we have a complex, messy life, that will amplify into our business. It's like having a cluttered workspace. It's hard to do great work when you're working in a messy, crowded workspace. It's hard to sleep at night if you have laundry all over your bed because you haven't cleaned your room. So if your life is messy, it will hold you back from growing the business. And I bet if you ask yourself this question right now, is my lifestyle making it easier or harder to make money in my business? Is it easier or harder? I bet some of you will be thinking, it actually makes it harder. I have to fight with my spouse to have time to work on the business. Every time I get into work, I'm getting distracted by something else. Everything's slightly harder. I never have that time and energy and attention. Maybe there's certain things that are just sucking out your energy and your time and your attention. So it becomes, how can you simplify those and remove those vortexes, those things that suck your energy, so you can take that energy that you now have and reinvest it into your business. Instead of finding new energy, you refocus existing energy into higher leveraged areas. And the more you put in, the more you get out. This is tied into inputs equal outputs. But again, after talking with hundreds to literally thousands of educational creators, I often hear the question of, what's the bare minimum? What's the bare minimum work I could do to get the result? Could I do it in only an hour a day? Could I hit my goals in only an hour a day? And sometimes we think in the terms of the bare minimum. What's the bare minimum effort we can put in to get that thing we want? But that is just answering the question of priority in your mind. If you're only willing to put in the bare minimum, clearly you don't care that much about getting the output. Because if you did care, you would put in way more to increase the likelihood that you can get that outcome you want. So the more you put in, the more you get out. Being busy does not mean being effective. Sometimes we can look at our calendar and we can work all day. I can work 12, 14 hours a day. I can end my day and just think, wow, I've worked so long and hard today. But then when we look at the back line of our business, we're not actually making more money. We're not helping more people. The business isn't growing. Because being busy does not mean being effective. I could spend 12 hours working and going through Skool and checking notifications and leaving comments and networking and doing all these things that make me feel effective, but in reality, they are not effective. I'm essentially productively procrastinating. I'm mentally masturbating with my task because it makes me feel good. Oh, I'm doing the work, I'm showing up, I'm getting my activities. But 3 months, 6 months can go by and no progress will be made. So look at your calendar and ask yourself, am I being busy or am I being effective? And number 10 is the path becomes clear once you take the steps. So the perfect analogy here is like Minecraft. And I'm sure if you're watching this or you're here, you probably have played Minecraft or you know someone who has played Minecraft. And in Minecraft, the world expands in front of you. As you run forward, the chunks generate in. And you can actually control the setting of how far in advance the chunks generate in front of you. And the same is true in business. We can look ahead and look a million steps into the future and try and project what we think will happen down the line. But the path only becomes clear once you actually take the steps. And once you take that first step, the second step is obvious. And once you take that second step, the third step is obvious because it's right in front of you. So take the first step and the second step will be clear, and stop worrying about step 100. And I actually went on a sunrise morning hike a few weeks ago, and I took a friend out who was visiting from Rome, and he hadn't been hiking a lot. And we were hiking this mountain, and he was looking ahead at this future peak, and he said to me, "Oh, we're not climbing that, right? That's way too far away. That's way too high. We can't climb that." And I tell him, yeah, don't worry about it. We're just going around the bend, then that's like our destination. Don't worry about it. And every time he asked me, are we there yet? Like, we're not climbing that, right? We're just climbing over here. I'd be like, yeah, don't worry. We're almost there. We're almost there. And by the end of the hike, we actually did climb that peak. And then we were standing up there looking down at where we came from, like, holy shit, we really climbed pretty far. But if I told him that from the start, he probably would have got overwhelmed. His muscles would have given up on him. He wouldn't have thought he could make it. But I kept him focused on his next step right in front of him and kind of manipulated him into climbing a mountain he didn't think he was possible or capable. He didn't think was capable of climbing. And that's what happens when you focus on one step at a time. The path becomes clear once you take the steps. Number 11 is don't solve problems that don't exist yet. This is a super, super common one. People will be asking me, Aiden, but what happens when I get 20 clients and then I'm bottlenecked and I run out of time? And what happens if this video gets 1 million views and I don't have enough spots on my calendar and my calendar gets booked out? What happens if this happens and then this happens and this happens? We start future pacing our problems. And because of that, we're again diverting our attention and our focus onto something that doesn't even exist. It's a fictional problem. We are literally making up problems in our mind. So at this point in time, it's always like come to the present. Come back, bring your attention back to the present. And does this problem even exist yet? If not, ignore it. Focus on the problem that does exist. Solve that, and then the next problem will become obvious. And the easiest way to fix something is to first break it. So 1, don't fix things that aren't broken. And 2, if you do need to fix something, break it first, and then you'll see where it needs to be fixed instead of assuming you know where it needs to be fixed. Number 12, don't expect to be great without having put in the reps. So Sam Ovens was like the classic GOAT of the consulting world. And people used to wonder, like, how is he so good at just quickly diagnosing someone's problems and helping them find a solution in like 5 to 10 seconds? But what they don't realize is he spent 8 hours plus a week and more on calls doing Q&A for years. He spent thousands of hours doing Q&A. He spent thousands of hours on sales calls. He spent thousands of hours building product and delivering for his customers. And that is what created mastery. And same is true if you look at someone like Mr. Beast. How did he get so good at YouTube? How did he start just being the biggest YouTuber in the world and get every single video is guaranteed millions to tens to hundreds of millions of views? Well, he didn't start that way. And if you even scroll back on his channel, you go to latest, you'll see how crappy his old videos are. So don't expect to be great without having put in the reps. Don't expect to be good at content without making a lot of content. Don't expect to be good at sales without doing sales. Don't expect to be great at delivering results for your students and in your program without working with a lot of people. Number 13 is find a way to make it fun. If it is boring, it's going to be hard to stay consistent with it. It doesn't matter how much you love it. Passion dies. You might be super passionate about your business. You might be thinking, this is my life's purpose. I'll never get bored of this. I could do this for the next 20 years. Or maybe you aren't. But if you lose the fun, you lose the joy, you'll fail to continue to work on that business over time. So the more ways you can find to make the process fun, the more you'll enjoy it and the better you will do at it. And I heard this saying at some mastermind a little while back. It was like, if you bring 30 dentists together and you put them in a room and you make it fun so they're having fun together, those dentists will start talking about dentist things and they'll get value and they'll learn from each other. Versus if you just don't make it fun, they're going to stop showing up. They're not going to show up. They're not going to grow and scale together. The more you can make everything you do fun, the better it will be. Number 14 is test, don't guess. Again, I see a lot of people always guessing. Oh, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. I'm going to just guess and change this thing on my about page or change this or fix this or raise the price or whatever it may be. And in reality, you want to test. And testing essentially means you are tracking the inputs and the outputs, and then you are comparing, figuratively, which one was better. For example, if you are changing something on your about page, on your Skool community, you don't change 7 things at once because you'll never understand which of those things is going to help you. Which of those things might have changed the metric. Change one thing at a time, and then you can see the output of that change, and you're no longer guessing, you're testing, and you're collecting data, which will help you scale over time. Number 15 is you're either earning or you're learning. Sometimes we can get caught up in our own heads and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that, I'm not making money, or I'm not making the money I want to be making, or I'm stuck at 10, 20, 30, or whatever it is, wherever it is you're at. But you are either earning or you are learning. And when you're earning, it feels good because you're making money and everything's super exciting and it's great and you're on top of the rainbow and everything's fun and sunshine and rainbows and laughter and unicorns. And when you're learning, sometimes you lose that. You don't realize that you're still leveling up. You don't realize that you're still improving, that you're still making immense progress. So keep that same mentality of joy and excitement when you're earning or when you're learning, and you'll never stop growing. Number 16, there will always be ups and downs. There will always be ups and downs. Sometimes some months will be good, sometimes some months will be crappy. And if you let your energy be attached to those up and downs, you will constantly be on this roller coaster of emotion and it'll suck. So you need to detach yourself from that. And when you detach yourself from that, you don't care if 1 month you're better and 1 month you're less. You keep your baseline of your self-worth. And I think it was Jeff Bezos who said this, that when the stock market goes up by 10, 15%, I don't feel 10, 15% smarter. And when it goes down by 10, 15%, I don't feel 10, 15% stupider. You can't attach your value to those changes. Number 17, don't try to do everything at once. Specifically as an output on number 17, it's identify the one thing you should be doing and focus all your attention on that. So every single person watching this has one bottleneck or constraint that is the main bottleneck or constraint facing them. For most, it's probably traffic. Not enough people know who you are. For some, it might be converting. I have an audience, but not enough people are buying. For some, it might be delivery. I haven't solved a valuable problem. I don't have my product. I don't know what my offer is. I'm lacking clarity on XYZ thing. And there is one bottleneck that if you solve that one bottleneck, you will have the greatest ROI and change in your business. For most of you, it's probably traffic. And focus 90% of your attention on that one thing that will drive the most results and ignore the rest. Number 18 is to reach out to your warm audience first. So again, if you want quick sales, the quickest, easiest, fastest money you will ever make is from your warm audience. And warm audience defined as people who already know you, trust you, or like you. It could be followers on Instagram. It could be people from your job. It could be colleagues. It could be friends. It could be family. It could be people on your Saturday night football sports team. The warm audience, the people who know you and trust you the most, they will be the easiest layups into your business. And if you do it the right way, this is actually beneficial. It's a win-win. If you're providing more value than you're charging, they'll be happy, you'll be happy. So reach out to your warm audience first. Number 19 is people probably don't even know you have an offer. And if people don't know you have an offer, you have no chance of ever selling it. And there's different types of market awareness people talk about. Some people are problem aware. Some people are pain aware. Some people are solution aware. Some people are product aware. And your job is to increase the number of people who are product aware. For example, if you have a community, chances are a lot of those people in your community don't even know they can pay you and give you money. And you will simply make more money and help more people if you just let them know that they can give you money for your services. Number 20 is to book calls. If you're not taking calls, I don't know what you are doing. Sometimes we think we can grow great, huge businesses in the online education space without taking calls. And while it has happened, every single person who has made it happen, I guarantee you, has taken calls to get to that point. It's like that prospect of build the house. Build the house and you do the unscalable work first to do the scalable work later. The more calls you'll be taking, the better understanding you'll have of the lifeblood, the pulse of your business. You'll have your finger on the pulse. You'll understand people's pains, desires 1,000,000 times better, and you will sell more, you will make more money, and you'll help more people. It is harder to help someone in the DMs than it is in a call. It's harder to sell someone on a post than it is on a call. It's harder to do anything. It's harder to get an understanding of your product and your offer from reading content versus getting on calls with people telling you about their problems. Number 21 is to take calls even if prospects seem unqualified early on. There's basically two types of people here. The first type is the person who is super protective of their time and they cancel 90% of calls that come through because they think they're too good for it. This person wouldn't buy. I wouldn't be able to help them anyways. And the other type is the people who don't take enough calls. And at the start, you need to you need to have as many at-bats as possible. You need to get up to the plate and you just need to start swinging. And the more times you swing at that ball, the more chances you will have of hitting a home run, period. So take more calls, swing more often, even if people seem unqualified. Number 22 is to do not stop or change anything until you've done 30 calls. If you haven't gotten on 30 calls and pitched your offer 30 times, you do not have a good understanding of your offer. You do not have a good understanding of your sales process. You do not have a good understanding of your clients, your delivery, their pains, their problems, nothing. And sometimes we think, I've done 5 calls, I've sold 2 customers, I'm a master at this, or I've done 10 or whatever it may be. But 30 we found is a kind of generalized number that represents good understanding. It represents, okay, now I actually have enough data to calculate what has been happening. I now see I've done 30 calls and 10 of them became paying customers. 5 of them, you have the math. You now have an accurate depiction of your conversion rate. You have an accurate understanding of your pitch. You accurately understand what people want and need. And if you haven't done 30 calls and you're thinking of changing things, it could just be a reps issue. In fact, we had someone in our community whose name is Danielle. And she came in and her first 6 calls in a row was no, 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 no. No, 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 no. 6 no's in a row. And at this point in time, I remember she made a post, she sent me a DM, just kind of doubting herself in the process. Is this really working? Is my offer crap? Is my sales process wrong? Is it my leads? Is it how I'm attracting them? Could it be one of these million things? It came back to number one, don't overthink. And we said, keep doing it. You've improved. Every single call, you've made a 1% adjustment and you've improved. And her next 11 calls in a row were yeses. 11 in a row. And she went from charging $1,000 to over $5,000 and making $30,000 in the process. So the lesson is, do not stop or change anything until you have enough reps to validate if it was accurate or not. And I'm not saying 30 calls in general. I'm saying 30 times you have gotten on a call and you have presented an offer and asked for money to work with you. Number 23 is you can make $10K a month with 5 calls a week. This may seem unreasonable. This may seem impossible, but it just becomes a math question. Because if you're taking 5 calls, you can just calculate it this way. Let's say you take 10 calls. Let's say you take 10 calls and you have a $10,000 offer. That means you only need to convert 1 out of 10 people to make $10,000. Then if you have a $5,000 offer, you need to convert 2 out of 10 people, 20% to a $5,000 offer. Then if you have let's call it a $3,333 offer, you would need 3 people to make $10,000, 30%. So then if that is our baseline of our math, and you can just take the number of whatever you charge for, you can just calculate how many calls you need in order to make the income you want to make. So if you're selling a $1,000 offer and you're converting at 20%, then every 10 customers you make $2,000. That means you need 50 calls in order to make $10,000. It just becomes math. And again, this helps you eliminate the need for thinking when you can do the math behind your business. And you can then future pace expectations. If I book 10 calls, I make $2,000. Therefore, if I book 20 calls next month, I make $4,000. Therefore, if I raise my price and nothing else changes, I make $8,000. Therefore, if I improve my conversion rate where I now convert 20% instead of 10% of people, I double my business. And it just becomes math. Number 24 is you will always feel like you don't have enough traffic, not enough people know who you are, and you don't have enough calls booked. I've spoken to entrepreneurs and creators doing $1 million a month. They also want more calls booked. They also want to make more money, help more people. I've spoken to people making $1,000, no money a month. They also feel the same way. So as you grow, your goals expand in front of you. And that is a good sign of someone who has ambition. Because if you reach that 10K a month and you settled, you probably wouldn't stay there very long anyways. Number 25 is some launches will get 0 sales. That's okay. Some people will launch their business, their community, their offer, and they will get 0 sales, and that is okay because you either earn or you learn. Number 26 is to launch like your business depends on it because it does. And now I'm going to plug in my laptop because I realized that it is actually dying, and I don't want it to die on this live recording, as long as the audio doesn't change. Where is my Zoom? Here we go. Let me pop in here. How's everybody doing? Shout out to Barnabas for letting me know about my audio cutting out. All right. Audio, all right. Audio seems good. Back to business. Launch like your business depends on it because it does. So there's kind of 2 types of people who come in and launch. There's the ones who actually go all out. They say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to exhaust all potential. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to build as much momentum as I possibly can. And then at the end of that, I will know that I did everything possible. And even if I made no money, at least I know that I did everything within my power to make it happen. And those are the people I love. And then there's the people who make excuses early on. There's actually a term for this I can't remember off the top of my mind, but it's something about justifying failure. You're scared of failing, so you begin to justify it to yourself and justify it to the people around you. And this fear keeps you from committing. Because then if you're scared that if you commit and you go all in and you don't make it happen, then you actually did fail. And you know that if you kind of hold back and you don't do everything you possibly can to win, then if you fail, you have an excuse. You can say, but I didn't do XYZ thing. So it makes sense. It's not my fault. So if you're serious about your business, you need to launch like your business depends on it, and maybe your life depends on it. And a question I like to ask people sometimes is, gun to your head, what would you do differently? If you had to make this happen, if next month you had to hit your goal, what would you do differently? And if you can answer that question, where you actually know something you would do differently, that means you're not fully committed. That means you're not doing everything within your power to win. And you should change that. Number 27, tell everyone first, then do the work. So what I mean by this is, again, you are either the type of person who tells people that they're going to do something, gets a little dopamine spike from it, and then they never do it because they got the dopamine, they got the reward, and then they kind of feel guilty. And because of that, they kind of never get it done. Or you're the type of person who needs that public accountability. And realistically, there are 3 types of accountability that can keep you accountable and keep you pushing to reach your goals. The first is self-accountability. It's you keeping yourself accountable. The second is peer accountability. It's like competitiveness, being part of a community that keeps you accountable. For example, if you're doing a challenge in a community, you're showing up every day, and if you don't, someone's going to say, hey, where's Aiden? He didn't do it today. He missed it. And that fear of judgment, that peer accountability, will force you to keep doing the work. And the final is mentor accountability, where if you can't get the first 2, and sometimes the first 2 are great, but you need more, and oftentimes everybody does, it's paying somebody to then force you to stay even more accountable, and then you're investing in it. You are investing in it. You're saying, I'm taking this seriously. I want to do this. And therefore, your money is where your mouth is. You're more invested. And then it keeps you accountable to actually do the work. Number 28, sales is not a bad thing. It is what we need to change the world. If everybody could just convince themselves to change and solve their problems, no one would need to sell anything and the world would be a perfect place. But the truth is, we all have things we need to be sold on in order to change on them. Someone who is out of shape knows they need to work out and fix their diet and eat in a caloric deficit or whatever it may be, or to lose weight and to feel good about themselves again. But they need to be sold on that, because the reason they haven't done it is they haven't been sold on it. So if you want to help people, you have to sell them on helping them. If you have a product that can actually help change someone's lives, it is your ethical obligation to show them that and to make them aware that if they keep doing what they're doing, they will stay stuck where they are in the pain and the problem of where they are. And if they work with you, you can show them the path to stop staying stuck in that fire. You can pull them out of the fire, douse them with water, and help them overcome the problem. So if you want to change the world, if you want to make the world a better place, if you want to help people, not just make money, you have to learn how to sell. Number 29 is don't judge. And it could even be simplified to just don't judge, period. Because oftentimes, I noticed this at the beginning of my sales career, if you will. I would sometimes get on a call and I would begin to place a judgment on this person. I don't think they can do it. I don't know if this person is qualified. I don't know if this person would even buy. They seem like the type who wouldn't even buy. I don't know if they can do this. They don't have what it takes. Whatever the judgment may be in your mind, and that then clouds your ability to help them. Not just sell them, it clouds your ability to help them. And when you get on a call and you eliminate that judgment and you just hold space, that's where these beautiful things can happen. And I've had customers who've absolutely surprised me. I've sold them in and there was some shadow of a doubt in my mind, like, I don't know, can this person do it? And then they just absolutely blow my expectations out of the water and prove me wrong. And if I had let that judgment win, they would have never had the opportunity to change. So don't judge, eliminate all judgment. And a little tip, something that helps me, is to just do some a few breaths and sink into the moment and just accept that identity of a doctor, someone who is diagnosing. You're just diagnosing, you're there to discover and diagnose, and then kind of show a picture of what it would look like to get the solution. And they can choose. It is up to them. It is their choice to decide if what you have is going to help them and they want to participate or not. Because it is not your choice on the call if they are going to buy or not. It is their choice. And your job is to just help them get all the information they need to make a great decision. Sales is the business of decision making. And as a salesperson, you want to give people the information they need to make an educated decision where both parties are happy. 30, if you confuse them, you lose them. If you confuse them, you lose them. This is in all pieces of the business. It's an attraction. If you're creating content and you confuse people, their eyes cloud over, they switch to the next reel, the next YouTube video, they get off your content. You lose them. If you're in sales and you confuse someone on your pitch and they don't logically see a bridge from where they are at to where they want to be, you lose them. They don't understand it. And in delivery, if you confuse your clients and they don't know what they need to do to get the results, you again will lose them. So at all points in the journey, this is why that principle of simplification and less is more is so important. Because if you confuse someone at any point of the journey, you will lose them. And you have to keep things so tight, lean, and clean that it is just logical. The logical progression from attraction, top of funnel content, to sales, to delivery makes sense, and they can follow through it systematically and get the desired result. They can go from viewer on your YouTube channel to dropping into your Skool community to booking a call to getting on call to going into program to doing first step of the program to doing second step of the program to getting the result they want. And when you have that system, that is when you have a real business. And if you are losing people along the way, it is likely because you are confusing them. 31 is don't build a program until you've sold it. So when we look at Skool as an example here, Sam built the solution of the platform for the problem he had, and he sold it early on. He got pre-users. Andrew Kirby was one of the first users of Skool, using it before he ever started marketing it. And for the first few years of its existence, it lost money. He was investing millions of dollars into it to make it really great and make it really great. Now, for a lot of us, we think we got to build a huge course in our community. We got to build our complete program before we can sell somebody it, because how can we sell someone a solution if we don't even know what that solution is? And it's a fair question. But you don't even know what you're building is worthwhile until you've sold it. And the best way to build a great program is building it with your customers, not for them. Because when you're building it with them, you're in the trenches with them and you're going to see what problems they're running into, and then you can build the solutions for them along the way instead of guessing. It eliminates the guesswork and it forces you to build something that is lean and actually takes them from A to B in as little steps as possible, because you're building it for them and with the problems that they are telling you they're facing. And what this means tactically is by starting with one-on-one. As you walk clients through what you do one-on-one and you help them, that'll build the baseline of a program that you can then use to launch, say, a one-to-many cohort, which you can then use to build your course. 32, help people so much they're glad they paid. This is the principle of beautiful money. Money without happiness is worthless. If you make money and someone is just pissed at you and they just want it back, you're not going to be very happy with that money. And likewise, they're not going to be very happy with it. It's a net negative. So therefore, every time you sell something, I like to keep the mentality of, what can I do to make it unreasonable, that they don't have a great experience, that they're not happy they paid? What can I do to make it unreasonable that this customer is not happy they're paid? And tactically what this looks like, it can mean eating their complexity. So finding the areas of complexity where they are getting confused and then eating it for them, doing that work for them, providing them the solution so they don't even have to think, they can just get the result. Tactically what this might look like is, instead of teaching them how to write content and giving them a course, you could go and write the first piece of content for them. Help someone so much they're glad they paid. Number 33 is under promise and over deliver. So within this, there's a unique balance online where you need to promise a tangible outcome and something big enough that people are interested in paying for it. You have to have a big enough outcome in order to get people even interested in the first place. But on the flip side, if you promise the moon and you can't deliver on it, they won't be happy inside the program. So here, the rule, we could call it 33B, is only promise what you have already achieved. Only promise what you have already achieved. Your outcome, your program, what you sell should only promise something you have achieved, because that is the proof that you can help achieve it again. And within that, under promise and over deliver. The lower expectations, the easier it is to deliver a good experience. The higher expectations, the higher it is to deliver a good experience. And then a great business is a balance of the two, where you deliver a great promise and you get people in the front door. People respond to your content, they drop into your funnel, they book a call, and then the delivery still over delivers on that promise, so they're happy. And as soon as you skew that needle and you have higher promise on the front end, under deliver on the back end, you have unhappy customers. You might make more money for a short period of time, but then consumer goodwill decreases, people talk, and your business begins to decline over time instead of growing over time. And when you under promise and over deliver, this is a business where people come in, they're so happy they tell their friends about it. And that's a business that will scale over time. 34, overwhelming people with value is just overwhelming them. 35, charge more. We recently had someone in the program by the name of Koon who started out selling piano lessons and things like that for $21 a month. $21 a month. And he sold a few people and he made $40, $60 for 3 sales. And he just recently made a post, in fact, maybe I'll even try and find it here, where he got a 10K deal. $10,000 for a 25-second piano piece. $10,000 for 25 seconds. And he was charging for something similar like this with similar projects for $1,000. And now, after scaling, he started to charge more, and now he can charge $10,000 for something. That means if your goal, for example, is $10,000 a month, you only need one of those sort of sales to hit your goal. And if your goal is $100K a month, you only need 10 of those sales. So if you can charge more, it forces you to then, on the back end, deliver more, which makes your product better, which makes your business better. And charging more makes the front end better, the back end better, and the whole business better as a whole when you keep up with the value and demand of it. So those are the 35 lessons. Hope it was helpful. And if you are an educational creator who's already achieved a valuable outcome and you want help scaling to $10,000 to $100,000 a month, like the people in our community, you can book a call with me or my team in the description.